Starship inching closer to completion. Starship completed its first full flight-like wet dress rehearsal at Starbase on the 24th of January, making this the first time an integrated ship, specifically Ship 24, and booster, number 7, were fully loaded with more than 10 million pounds of propellant. Following this milestone, the ship is expected to be destacked, allowing for the testing of all 33 Raptor engines in the booster at the same time for the first time ever, bringing the world's most powerful rocket one step closer to the finish line. Falcon 9's heaviest launch. Falcon 9 has come a long way and gone through many different iterations. With each change, improvements have been made to its capacity to deliver payload to orbit. The original V1.0 Falcon 9 had a payload capacity of around 10.4 tons, 23,000 pounds, to low Earth orbit, LEO. Version 1.1 improved that capacity to 13.1 tons, or 29,000 pounds. This was followed by version 1.2, also known as the Falcon 9 Full Thrust. This FT version was then itself subsequently refined several times, with the variant's name starting from Block 1 and ending at Block 5, which was first launched in 2018. While the current form of the Falcon 9 is still called Block 5, SpaceX has not stopped raising the bar and have continued to iterate on its design, manufacturing processes, and operational procedures. Their work continues to bear fruit, with their latest milestone being achieved on the 26th of January 2023, when Falcon 9 delivered its heaviest payload to LEO yet, at 17.4 tons, or 38,400 pounds, at nearly 60% increase from the original Falcon 9. It carried its payload of 56 Starlink version 1.5 satellites to orbit, before returning for a successful landing on the drone ship. Just read the instructions, marking the 9th successful landing for this particular booster, B1067, which first flew on June of 2021. Another successful Starlink launch. With the 56 satellites launched into orbit on the 26th, this now brings the number of Starlink satellites to 3,724, out of which 3,395 are currently in working order. SpaceX is now at around the 30% mark of the 12,000 satellites that are currently planned to be deployed, though they are of course also likely to extend that number in the future to a potential 42,000. And perhaps even further beyond. As the number of satellites increase, Starlink will be able to more effectively address a wide variety of geographical areas and customer segments, and we will continue to see Starlink being used more and more widely throughout many different industries. We have already seen announcements from, for example, the second largest cruise line operator, the Royal Caribbean Group, who announced last year that the service would be installed on all Royal Caribbean-owned cruise ships, with the installation expected to finish sometime this year. Reports have since been coming in showing a number of images of hundreds of Starlink dishes being installed across the company's massive ships. NASA tests a revolutionary new rocket for deep space. With SLS finally ready for prime time, and NASA's taking the first step to putting humans back on the surface of the moon, a team of engineers at NASA validated a new type of rocket design that generates thrust using a supersonic phenomenon called detonation. This engine, aptly named the Rotating Detonation Rocket Engine, or RDRE, uses less fuel than modern propulsion systems, while producing more thrust. If successful, it could provide significant cost savings for missions intended for deep space, or even allow for a new class of payload, in terms of tonnage, to be delivered that was previously implausible. During testing, the engine was fired over a dozen times, collectively clocking in around 10 minutes of successful firing. New manufacturing innovations incorporated into the engine allow it to operate under the extreme conditions produced by the detonations without overheating. At full throttle, the engine produced over 4,000 pounds of thrust for nearly 1 minute, at an average chamber pressure of 622 pounds per square inch, the highest pressure rating for this design on record. NASA now plans to develop a fully reusable 10,000 pound class version of the engine for further testing and to identify performance benefits over traditional liquid rocket engines. China's mini Starship. A Chinese startup evidently inspired by SpaceX's Starship conducted a series of successful tests on their road to build a 64-meter tall stainless steel rocket with the capacity to lift 6.5 tons to a 1,100 kilometer altitude sun-synchronous orbit, while possessing the capability to be reused up to 20 times. The startup, named Space Epoch, conducted hot fire tests including ignition and restart tests on a 4.2-meter diameter stainless steel propellant tank, combined with a Longyun 70 methane liquid oxygen engine developed by engine maker Zhizhou Yunjian. They had previously conducted pressure tests on 3-meter and 4-meter thin-walled stainless steel tanks last year. While still a long way from catching up to SpaceX, Space Epoch is only one in a long line of new entrants into the nascent Chinese commercial launch sector, with Zhizhou Yunjian itself only being founded in 2017. These Chinese firms have put their foot on the gas and seem to have zero intention of slowing down anytime soon. Rocket Lab launches from US soil. While work steadily continues on their reusable Neutron rocket, Rocket Lab's Electron continues to chug along, completing its 33rd launch on the 24th of January. Of particular note is that this was the first time the Petite rocket had launched from US soil, flying 3 of the 15 satellites it has been contracted to launch for the private American geospatial analytics company, Hawkeye 360. The total payload weighed around 90 pounds and was launched off the coast of Virginia at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport, Mars. This is only the first of around 14 to 16 Rocket Lab launches that are publicly known to be flying in 2023.